to go back for a second. I would like to understand, or actually, when you said there are lines that you can't cross if you're on the left and you're talking about trans people, my feeling is people should be able to do anything they want to do. I'm sure you agree with that. And I think politicians are often cowed by the language they're told they're allowed to use. I think about like Cori Bush and Brandon Johnson, who are both, I think, the only two politicians in my memory right now who sort of explicitly ran or had real allegiance to the Defund the Police campaign, and they won. The only two. So it wasn't like Defund the Police hurt people other places, because that's the only two places where they actually were Defund the Police advocates or advocates for Defund the Police. With the trans issue, I think a lot of people have issues, misunderstandings, they feel uncomfortable. But I think that what the things that are termed culture issues are actually life and death for so many people. And so my feeling is everyone should be allowed to have discussions, and really can be uncomfortable discussions. We should be allowed to discuss them, but still advocate and fight fiercely for people who are being marginalized and like hunted down basically in this country. So that I just want to sort of, I know you weren't saying something like opposite of that really, but what exactly did you mean when you were talking about that? I just want to make sure.
I know that there is going to be a level of pushback that's going to move on people in certain circles that otherwise would never consider it an issue. Like the whole thing with Dylan Mulvaney, it will backfire. It is going to backfire, and it will backfire spectacularly. If you think that this is going to win, it's not going to win. Now,
but is that for Budweiser or for Democrats?
Oh, it's for Democrats. I don't give a flying F what Budweiser does. As a matter of fact, the bigger issue here is the person who greenlit that ridiculous ad, because her justification for it is, we don't have enough young people drinking alcohol, so let's get them to drink with us. It's like, okay, now that's a problem. So if you're transitioning it to where I think it's a more of a serious issue here, there is a very strong movement, particularly when it comes to the right, when it comes to the issue of trans women in women's sports. And right. That's something that they are going to continue to hammer away at. And the reason why it's so dangerous is because when people in, let's say, New York, California, Colorado, places where it is more or less a non-issue from the standpoint of you're not hearing stories about ridiculous legislation being passed, people being attacked. But you come to a state like Florida, let me tell you, they are hell-bent in Tallahassee to basically eliminate trans people in the state. That is their goal. And they're going to keep doing it. And as long as this becomes an endless talking point, they're going to continue to push at that shit. And it pisses me off because the Democratic Party in this state is completely feckless.
But the thing is, the Republicans made that the talking point.
Yeah, that's
it's not the Democrats. The Democrats are pushing equality. I mean, they're not pushing like, hey, let's make trans rights our number one issue. They understand how politically it doesn't play in red states and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when the right talks about it, I mean, what do you advocate the left do if not stand up for trans rights?
I think it goes to my world wrestling story where I kind of feel like it's both sides use that. That's the culture. Like they're using it politically.
I'll tell you exactly what I mean.
Because I don't think either of them really care about when we're talking about what daily life trans people things are.
I agree.
It's really much more because I have a friend that I've become friends with since our campaign that's a trans woman, and really the first friend that I've had that is a trans woman.
Love it.
Yeah. And I've learned a lot. And one of the things is like and this is what I teach my son, most people that are trans, they're just people that live amongst us. These are not like people that are like out there. It's not that. And I think that the Democrats also with like the use of Latinx, like there's certain things I feel like that they do that is more just for the publicity of it than it will actually serve to help that community.
If somebody,
that's what I think.
If you think about the most influential, anti-trans voices that you have out there right now, and it's Tweedledee and Tweedledum, even though Jen spoke with Michael Knowles, but it's Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles.
I did. I went on Michael Knowles'
Those
show.
are the two biggest in terms of platform, in terms of their desire to make this a front and center issue. But what
Anna Kasparian.
And
On the other side, right?
Well, Jen had it out with Anna back in the day because
No,
Anna.
I didn't have anything out with her. I just referred to her as the snowflake princess.
Well, she went after Aaron Mate because of what he was sharing about Syria, and it's like, well, she just can't get out of her own way because she's a privileged little lady, and so that's that. My point is, anytime
she likes to be called a woman. I'm joking. I'm totally joking. I'm joking because you called her a lady.
WON, or instead of birthing person, what is this? It's birthing person, and we like.
Honest to God,
I'm not
it's
doing
all one big effing distraction.
Not to mention, I know a lot of women that don't want to be birthing people.
Whatever. The point being is that we're living in a time where we have no health care. We have no living wage. Collective bargaining is getting crushed left and right. You have Howard Schultz on Capitol Hill saying, yeah, I union bust. What the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah, come on.
Right. Wars don't end. The environment's in shit. And so when somebody like Matt Walsh or Michael Knowles or whoever wants to center this on the culture war, I'm going to say, just remember, these guys do not give a rat's ass whether you survive in this world, regardless of who they're pointing the finger at. If it's you, whatever. If it's not redirected to the economic war that we're facing right now, when Joe Biden literally crushes labor in a way that would make Ronald Reagan blush, thinking that he didn't do enough. To me, that is the fight of our lifetime. And anyone who's getting distracted by other stuff and doesn't redirect it right back to the fact that we are all in this together, and unless you are sitting at the top of the heap overlooking, let's say, the world in Calabasas, for example, to me, that is, I never see anybody redirect this conversation to the economic war. And I wish more people would start to do it, because if they did, they would leave the trans community alone. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what it always comes down to is like, you know, you need to deliver policies to get people to vote for you. And without delivering policy that benefits the public to buy their vote, which is fine, buy the public's vote, you know, with some policy. If you don't have that, they're going to deflect and focus on these issues. You know, I mean, you can be right on these issues. You can be on the right side of the trans issues and still deliver policy. They're just not going to deliver the policy. They're not going to fight for the policies.
Right.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's where I agree. I don't think it's wrong to address the trans stuff with the right viewpoints. You know, I don't want to advocate for leaving trans people out to dry on this stuff. I mean, I think
they should walk and chew gum at the same time. See, that's the real issue.
That's the real issue.
Yes.
That instead they talk. Yeah.
And the problem is,
no, please go ahead.
When you have people like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
go.
Oh, the problem is when you have people like Anna Kasparian coming out and making this argument that she's a woman, not a birther, or what is it? Birthing person. Nobody's calling her a birthing person.
Right.
Literally nobody is doing it. So if you're on the left, she's taking all the bait. She's amplifying this argument that doesn't really exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's language of inclusion in a medical world. Nobody has ever looked at her and said, oh, excuse me, birthing person, your table's ready. Right. Like that's not how that works. And so what she's doing, exactly what you said, Pat, is using right-wing talking points to say this is another way that cis-born females are being discriminated against. Like people keep bypassing us on their way to the top. And as you said, Peter, as we all say, the thing is, what would help trans people and marginalized communities and women and men and everybody in this country more than anything else is healthcare for everybody, a living wage, Green New Deal, public education, invest in our infrastructure, stopping our endless wars. Like that would actually help everybody. But at the same time, as trans people are being discriminated against, as Black and brown people are being shot point blank by the police more than other groups, we still have to address that. But I hear what you're saying, because what Democrats always do is they don't want to address the economic issues because that hurts their bottom line just as much as it hurts their Republican pals across the aisle.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.